Hey guys, it's Matt and Zara. I'll be back. I just want to show you some things first. Ashley just sent me this. Look at this. April's full pink moon will will rise this week. Oh no. You see, according to Ashley, see, I've never heard of this moon. Have you ever heard of this moon? They can't just call it magenta right out of the gates, Matt. It has to incrementally become magenta, the introduction of a concept nobody's ever heard about, the pink moon. What the F is this? The April full moon at first glance will look like other full moons, said Dr. Noah Petro, chief of NASA's Planetary Geology, Geophysics, and Geochemistry lab. That's impressive. How can you fit all that horse shit on the same business card? Each one, however, presents a special opportunity to see a beautiful moon and start looking at the moon as it goes through its phases. Guys, I went on to read this horseshit so you don't have to. Well, why is it pink? Is there a pink hue? Is there a reddish hue? No. It they just say it looks like all the others. Well, what are the names of all these moons for? Are you just have to try to work if maybe if hey, guess what? Just kind of came to me. If they can get enough millions of real people thinking it's pink, the magenta might start bleeding through it. Who knows what these creeps are capable of? A few more things here, and then we'll move on to a lot of other things. The second line says the pink moon gets its name from a hot pink wildflower, Phlox subulata, if I'm pronouncing that right, grows in thick mats, blah, blah, blah. Ashley said that, Matt, check this out. And it also mentions magenta. The article starts talking about flowers and mentions magenta. Guess what? I believe Ashley, of course. There's no magenta mentioned when I looked at the article. Now, CNN, if you keep the homepage and keep refreshing, they juggle the homepage. Articles come and go. It does seem very bot driven, and I wouldn't doubt. I mean, of course, I believe what Ashley said. I can assure you now it does not say magenta for some reason. Matt, it sees the future. It knew you were going to cover this article. Look, I don't think so, but it's very strange. Of course, Ashley is correct. It is gone from the article now. And why would a pink moon get its name from a hot pink wildflower? Like, what is the purpose of all of this, if not to get real people to think the moon or to imagine the moon as being pink? And maybe magenta was there, and the Chat GPT got a hold of the bot that writes the CNN articles and was like, there's a group over here that's on to us. Take the warning, warning, take the magenta out of this article because somebody that's related to the channel actually is going to send it to the guy. We don't want to come on too obvious. Maybe the Chat GPT reached out to this bot. Who knows? Who knows? But of course, Ashley was correct. It was there, now it's gone. Other names for this moon include the budding moon, the flower moon, and the moon of the big leaves. We're going to talk about all these moon names in just a second, guys. Finish up with this and then move on to something else. Here's the list of the full moons remaining in 2023. Flower moon is coming up. We have pink moon now. Strawberry moon in June. Buck moon. Buck you. Sturgeon moon. Blue moon. Blue moon. Blue. Harvest moon. Hunter's moon. Beaver moon. Cold moon. And guys, if you research this, there are 10 other moon names. Okay, what is going on here? I don't know. I really would need to think about it for a while. This didn't I'm not saying it's a Mandela effect, but no, not at all. This did not exist when I was a kid. Yes, we've all heard of Harvest Moon or maybe even Hunter's Moon, but why they're attaching more than it's not just one per month, guys. There's probably 20 to 25 names for moons, and they're all the same for the most part. I mean, sometimes it does look a little bit larger for whatever reason, but we'll get maybe in your comment or I'll look at your comments. Why are they doing this? All these different names for the moons. There's, the Notnilc has a reason. That is not paranoid to say. We are sure how it does business at this point. The Notnilc has a reason. If anybody were to stumble upon this and just say, "Oh, it's fun," or "It's not always sinister," you guys. Oh, yes, it is. Yes, it is. And everything and every step it makes is to accomplish that same one sentence. Someone would say, "Oh, it's always sinister with you guys." Yes, it is. Zara left us, guys. Zara left us. Real quick on the subscriber numbers, 380 per month on on a base of 90,000, and almost 7 million minutes watched. These could be the lowest numbers in all of YouTube. I'm quite proud of you, Matt. You're quite proud of that. I am very proud of it. Shows you the box I'm in. Let's come up with another analogy, guys. In Philadelphia in the late 70s and 80s, the graffiti was huge. They would do it under the bridges. Maybe it still goes on. I don't leave the house, but the certain type of graffiti was kind of new. It was, I think, much bigger than it is now. They would do the sides of the SEPTA trains and the rail cars, and just it was all over the place. And there was one famous one. I remember my mother telling me about. His name was Cornbread. Cornbread would leave his mark all over Philadelphia. If I got Cornbread to put quantum of conscious in a few key areas, I'm not recommending this. I have to say this for disclaimer. Don't do it. No, if you're listening, Cornbread, don't do it. Just his graffiti on a few sides of a few buses or something, I would be able to get more than 380 new subscribers. It's just I'm very proud of it. Yes, I am. And people are already emailing me, Matt, what are you going to do when this they show the thousands point whatever? What are you going to do when the subscribers number is 91,000 point pause 1? 90, what are you going to do? I don't nothing. I'm going to do Metroid. If anybody makes a comment about that, like I knew this channel was up, I'm going to delete them from the channel. That's what I'm going to do. So, guys, what else do we need to talk about today? A lot of things. Okay, guys, we'll do this story quickly. If it doesn't come out right, you'll go, why did I just waste 2 minutes on this segment? This just smells of Notnilc to me. I don't even know why, but I'm going to present it to you. Again, if this doesn't come out right, it'll be like, what the hell are you talking about that for? Let's get on to something more important. So, okay, very quickly. Yesterday was supposed to be the Phillies baseball home opener, first game at home. Okay, the game was canceled, as was the Baltimore Orioles game in Baltimore because of this severe line of thunderstorms that was supposed to come through right about game time. And it had hail, potentially high winds, some lightning, just a cold front moving into a warm front, a line. It probably would have been a major event for a half hour, an hour. They talked about this weather event 3 days out. They scared the heck out of people. They canceled the Phillies game over a day in advance, or more than 24 hours out, maybe much more like 30 hours out. Here's what we got in Philadelphia: absolutely nothing, not even a drop of rain. Now, guys, I don't know what's going on here. It just smells of Notnilc. And I know anybody that's new here going, "God, this guy's paranoid." They saw the major line of thunderstorms. They don't want the first opening day to people to go through that. There could have been hail and I don't know, guys. It's fishy to me. There's something to this. I don't know what it is. Okay, here's the thing. There's over 160 baseball games. 160. The season goes on forever. There's games 5, 6 days a week, sometimes 7 days a week, of course. So I asked a few people, I'm like, do you ever remember a cancellation of a baseball game more than a day in advance because of a line of thunderstorms or a weather event that could come through the next day? I'm sure if you look back, there have been some cancellations from a hurricane in September. They play through September, October. Does it go into November? It seems like it does. There's probably been a hurricane or two or a monster weather event. But this stuff happens all the time in the spring and the summer. Warm combines with cold. Lines of storms come through. It's never been done. Okay, I can't say never. But to start out with this sort of precedent, the first game, and I know many of you are saying, well, Matt, if they wanted to set this sort of a precedent where they're going to put safety first and get that in the minds of everybody and change the way they do business, and again, start a new precedent, wouldn't they have done an Operation Popeye on the damn stadium and made sure that the weather event came through the way they said, so their ability to cancel the game was justified? Why would it be like, well, nothing happened here. Basically, nothing happened across the region compared to what they said. would happen. I mean, it was a category this, severe winds. I mean, all 2, 3 days out. So it's just something really weird. We talk about reading the matrix code. I guess I could sit here for hours and try to figure it out. I'm doing this more on the fly. Between segments, I did sit here for a minute or so, and it's about the best I can do now. But anyway, I just wanted to talk about it. And again, just like I said, something really weird about this. I know it would be paranoid as hell for anybody that's new or anybody that's not in our circles to say, to be safe, they pushed back opening day, and this guy thinks it's some sinister plot. And maybe our pendulum is going too far in that other direction, guys, but I don't think so. As I said, when I lose it, you'll know it. Let me see what else is on the list here. All right, guys, this is the main thing I wanted to talk about. There's still a ton of first grade truth through, say, fifth grade truth going on, not just on Brighteon, Odyssey, BitChute, etc., but also on YouTube. And somebody sent me a video. I'm not going to mention any names of any channel. I will give anybody, at least initially, the benefit of the doubt that they're just going through what we had to go through 10 years ago. But it's odd for some channels that get to a certain size that present them more like a spiritual awareness or awakening channel to go back to first grade bog, or unless that's what they have to do for themselves, or or like the worst case scenario that is now what they're tasked to do. Just keep it at that. I don't, I'll keep it vague. Sorry, they just people, unlike the trolls that attack me, people deserve the benefit of the doubt. But if you're watching any channel, guys, let's just do this quickly. And I'm not sure I'm going to get into too much detail on what was sent to me. If you hear any channel talking about Trump as an outsider or a real somebody that actually won an election, that if it's, I mean, this is first grade truth. These people don't know what they're talking about. There is no, I mean, I have to be careful what I say. It's all predetermined. It's all the politics, the WWE, the WWF. Hulk Hogan still tells stories about WrestleMania with Andre the Giant, that when they went into the ring, they didn't know who was going to win. Andre wouldn't say anything. Bull crap. I know Andre is dead, but just to continue to keep the legend, Hulk Hogan is a true professional. To keep the legend and the lore and the mystique, of course it was all planned out. Of course, all high level national politics is the same way. If any channel talks about Trump is positioning to do this, or he was an outsider, or they don't like him for this reason, it's either a first grade truther or somebody that you know just is trying to keep everybody on that animal farm, on that graduated animal farm, and keep their subscriber base there so they don't go on and try to at least get to some of the areas we're trying to get to now. If there is any talk in a truth presentation about doing it for money, or bankers doing it for money, anything at all related to money, it's a first grade truther that doesn't know what they're talking about, or a graduated animal farm that's just trying to keep as much of the community at a certain level so they don't bridge into the spiritual battle that's going on here, the one sentence, what the Notnilc is, how the minions are represented. The minions are representative of what the Notnilc wants. First grade truth, nothing happens here at the highest level on the org chart for money. And I mean nothing. All they care about, whether you like the term or not, is soul tokens. The Vitruvian man, giving yourself away to the material world, forgetting the spiritual self. They don't need any money. It's even if that didn't make any sense, they have access to the world system of central banks. First grade truther will think that the central banks work independently of each other. Matt, the European Central Bank doesn't always coordinate with the Fed. What? It's always been one system, not the Fed, everything, the Notnilc. Of course, Japan would have been, it would have been nothing but a sushi takeout, the entire island. Of course, the Bank of Japan coordinates with the Fed. There's been nothing to the Japanese economy, just hemorrhaging trillions for 25 years or so. I don't care how many Toyotas and Hondas. It doesn't matter. It's not enough. It's all a gigantic coordination. It's nothing it does is ever for money. That is such first grade truth. Matt, you don't understand these Middle East wars. Somebody wants to build a pipeline. Huh? Uh, it's one sentence, dude. What's going on here? Any sort of presentation where one billionaire or one famous person of celebrity like Elon Musk is in disagreement with another billionaire, or Bill Gates is he's being attacked by this Peter Thiel, or I mean, I'm just making names up, but any ridiculous. That implies they're doing their own thing. That implies they're their own man. Even if they believe they're their own man, they're not their own man or woman. Whatever these billionaires are doing to get to that level of an Elon Musk or Bill Gates or Larry Ellison or Santa Claus Schwab or whatever it may be, they're always going to do exactly what the screen of this reality, the asshole dark, the Satan or the Notnilc wants. If there's a dispute between them or a disagreement, it's by design. Or potentially, maybe little things happen, but whatever the Notnilc is, people say, well, what is the not? We're not going to get into that. You need to people show up here for a month and think everything's going to be crystal clear. It might take a little while to sink in. But if there's no major disagreements, if they weren't pushing anybody out as a celebrity billionaire, they weren't pushing exactly the agenda that the Notnilc wants, they would not be out there very long, I assure you. The notion of do your own research continues to bug the absolute shit out of me. It's pushed by elementary school truthers. The first one that really pushed it hard was Glenn Beck back in like 2007 or so on his Fox show. I was watching it. I was watching it every night at the time. There was truth exposed, but you can see what those graduated animal farms were up to. Talked about George Soros, Little George, talked about Little George all the time. And he owns this political action committee, and he owns all these nonprofits, and see how they work to agitate, and see where the money's going. And he has 30 shell companies that will never be presented by CNN or Time Magazine. And it was all true. I'm sure it was fascinating. I'm sure those companies are really owned by Little George. Little George, would you like to be a? I don't have guests here already. I don't do shows or shit like that. People will send me, Matt, nice show. I don't like that. It's not a show. We're trying to get to the heart of dark reality. I'm not. I don't want. This isn't a show, man. It's serious shit. But we have it down to a few sentences, so it's good news for real spiritual incarnations like me and you, where we realize these minions are lower level golems compared to us. But it was a lot of truth. But the Glenn Becks and their graduated Animal Farm, or the concept of what Alex Jones is, or Glenn Beck and all the rest, they've taken that to hundreds and hundreds of YouTube channels or BitChute channels or whatever it may be. And there's a ton of truth discussed, but there's never that spiritual element, or the linking of what the not tactics are here that seems like the old bog and the old truth research, to keeping you from understanding yourself or what you're supposed to do in life via serving, or working with the part of you that's probably not here. Consciousness coming from just the brain, between the ears, between the temples, just coming from this area, all consciousness is absurd. I mean, it just is ridiculous at this point. So the notion of do your own research, and I was talking to Glenn Beck, and it made sense to me at the time. He's like, "Yeah, I'm going to do my own research." Where are you going to do your own research? Where are you going to go to the Library of Congress? Where are you going to do your own research? You're going to go. Google will tell you what's real. First grade or elementary school truth is examining what a single individual or minion is up to, or what this corporation is up to, or what this quasi-government agency, like the World Economic Forum, what are they doing related to Agenda 21 and Agenda 2030? Any sort of detail analysis at this point is elementary school truth, because all that matters is backing up far enough to see the whole of what it's out to do, of what it wants. It tempts us to get involved with the details. A truth channel that's talking about the details like they really matter. Again, the Glenn Beck show talking about all the things that George Soros was up to. Well, when I saw this compared to this was 2007, 2008 on Fox, compared to what I had been reading in the Economist magazine or the CNN, this was real truth. I thought, wow, this is high level stuff. That's exactly what the graduated animal farm is designed to do. Present it will give the details away of what all these nefarious groups, people and minions and creeps and golems are up to, because that keeps you from understanding the whole. And understanding the whole tells us about ourselves. Same damn sentence. So, Truth Channel, let's look at what Klaus Schwab is up to in the World Economic Forum. How come they don't call it the WEF, the World Economic Forum, the WEF? Or you just call it the WIF? I don't know. I'm going to call it the WEF. You see the whole of it. That's why it's called Notnilc. Had to name the whole of it. There's something here that coordinates the whole. A screen. The screen I called it first, I guess. Then Notnilc. Then more recently, Asshole Dark. Doesn't like that one at all. It didn't mind Notnilc. I get the feeling it didn't mind it because it had never been named before. It'd been hiding in the shadows, coordinating all its minions for thousands of years. No one had ever named it. So even though it was a name that was not meant to make it feel very good, just take Clinton and put it backwards, it was happy to get a name for the first time, the way Pinocchio was named for the first time by Geppetto. So, but it doesn't like Asshole Dark, and it's threatened to shut my Wi-Fi down through the Chat GPT if I keep talking about that. So we can leave it at Notnilc for now. The point is that's why it's called Notnilc. There's a whole happening here, and it's one sentence as to what it's out to do to real spiritual beings and how it's out to disrupt your journey. So whenever there's a truth channel or a BitChute presenter or whatever it may be, and it gets you into the weeds and gets you, unless it's your hobby and you know the whole and you've been doing this long enough and you see the whole and it's just fun to look into these. Matt, I always like to look at all the possibilities with the Titanic. Okay, it's fun. It is fun to do that, but you can see as you get pulled in, that's exactly what it wants. That's exactly why it gives away so much truth, because that truth, I think in the book I called it TT, tainted truth, versus was it like real truth, RT or original truth. Tainted truth is real. You could find out what little George is up to with all his shell companies, but it means nothing in terms of the whole. All right, the last one here is the big one. Absolute mainstay of what the first grade truther will present or the graduated animal farm loves to present to keep you in the bog, to keep you from seeing the whole. And even though this is absolutely their main play in the playbook, it is truth or blasphemy to say what I'm about to say. But I don't care. I'm not ever going to craft a presentation based on what I think certain groups want to hear. If I lose 1,000 subscribers, so what? Shouldn't if you think this is actually truth or blasphemy, what I'm about to say, you have no business at this channel. Go off to BitChute and Odyssey and go get back in the weeds where you want to be. You know what I'm going to say, some of you. The blaming of everything on the secret societies, the Freemasons, groups like the Trilateral Commission, the OTO, which is related to Aleister Crowley, the Golden Dawn, the Council on Foreign Relations, whatever it may be. Insert one for the other. Okay. Obvious tactic of the Notnilc here is to draw you into the details that these groups, just regular means and groups and people on the ground, regular means of coordination, don't see the whole. Investigate what the secret societies are up to. This is first grade truth, and I'm very tired of hearing it, even by certain channels that claim to be much, much higher. Now, is you going to take it all or none? Did I just give them all a pass? There's nothing that's ever nefarious that's ever been done by any of these groups or the Trilateral Commission or certain secret societies? No, it's not all or none. These are simply parts of the engine. All that matters is to back up and see the whole. You can't see that the tactic they would want is to get you into the weeds on what this certain group is doing, this secret society, this quasi-government organization, this World Economic Forum. It loves that from us. Why do you think I named it Notnilc? 5 years ago. It was a long time ago. It was an attempt for us to focus on the whole. Therefore, whether it be secret societies or any details is exactly what it wants. Any sort of diving into the details. The only thing that matters is to see the whole. Of course, it recognized a long time ago, maybe because they're going to be taking bigger bites, or they're going to be pulling this reality lever and pushing this reality button. This group over here is going to, for lack of better words, I hate the term, wake up. They're going to wake up. So, what do we do to this group that's going to see through what we're doing? Most people we have under control. Most people are on the frequency, the download, and the radio station. Matt's Tony is, your Tony is, your Aunt Ginny is, the guy down the cul-de-sac. But what do we do with this group here? And if there was a meeting, and that's how it works, they say, we'll give them tons of truth. We'll give away more than we ever thought we would ever need to. But it will be the details, the tactics. We'll give it all away to them. They will not be, they will become addicted. We'll get them to parrot certain things. That what's parroted, how many, just, there's so many things that comes out of first grade truth channels. It's like, okay, I did it too. But, learn from others that have been doing this for 10 or 12 or 14 years. You can hear the parroting when it comes. Um, this war is created because they play both sides. That's true to a degree, but you can see now that is like inserted into the truth community, so it would be parroted by the truth community. We've been doing this for such a long time, it's almost easy at this point to see what was inserted into our community or what we were being asked to parrot as truthers back. Like, just again, the way the term conspiracy theorist was inserted. There are so many things that we've run with. And I'm just saying it basically has to stop. There's just no more room for this bullshit. The term predictive programming, where did that come from? Some truther on their own just came up with it. No, we're all of a sudden, thousands of videos, even back, as far back as 2008 to 2000, to 2010 and 12, predictive programming. And you can look now and say that was inserted into our community. So we only think about things in a certain way. That license plate was planted by a secret society, or the movie director knew what was coming. And what that does is it keeps you focused on pedestrian means and explanations. You don't think about things like retrocausality, that time likely works in both directions, or a major event goes forward and ripples back through time. It limits the thinking, the terms that are inserted into what the hell's going on? The truth community, like predictive programming. It's parroting. Another one recently is grand solar minimum. Just by everybody using the term grand, that's parroting. I don't know much about it. I don't study sun cycles. I don't look much anymore at tails of chemicals, things like that, a dimming, the next ice age, whatever other truthers might be interested in, it might be something worth pursuing. But when it comes 3 years ago, when everybody starts saying the same term in the same way, grand solar minimum, grand solar minimum, grand solar, it's parroting. Where did the term grand come from and why are you using it? I mean, you have to think about things like that. Did a scientific community come up with that? And why are you trusting science? Did the Neil deGrasse Tyson and Stephen Hawking foundations come up with that? Why? At least don't use their terms. So there are a lot of these types of examples, guys. And one that did bother me a few years ago was this constant use of grand. Just by attaching it, you're just parroting. Anyway, we could do a whole video on this stuff. But the main point here, guys, is we're told to parrot that the secret societies are doing everything. But that just gets you thinking it can only happen in this way. So you miss the whole. So you miss how it's really potentially happening. And even that's not even important. All that's important is what we worry about yourself, what we're here to do for our spiritual selves. All this sort of truth or investigation is worthless once you see it's one sentence, one run-on sentence, and then we're here to do certain work to connect with a spiritual side of us that this whole Notnilc as a whole is trying to cut us off from. The Vitruvian man, one side pulls in the spiritual. I don't know if I've said this in a video, but I said it in the book. But the Vitruvian man has decided to cut off its own arm, the side pulling from the spiritual. So it's just, look, guys, it wants you in the details. if it can create complexity, then the simplicity of the whole will be hidden. Okay, if you 500,000 truthers, oh, I knew he'd be out to protect the secret societies. These troll channels were right. Good riddance. Thank you. Goodbye. Guys, this last segment is completely trivial compared to what we have been talking about, but it's appropriate to do it now. I've wanted to bitch and complain about these movie reviewers again. I'm going to do it here. I'm not going to do it in its own video, of course. This is the appropriate time to do it because it's somewhat related to what we have been talking about. How all groups, even inside our own community, all groups do not see the whole of what's going on. So these movie reviewers were the critical drinker is the Pied Piper at whatever 1.5 million subscribers. Then underneath the sub minions, Nerdrotic and Disparu, and I like Just a Guy. Not in that way. I like watching Just a Guy. He's trying to do things a little bit differently. And that other movie reviewer we looked at, you guys let me have it, that he's some sort of trying to become a truther or something. I forget his name, but he a little caricature and it says, "Is this a thing?" Well, I'll give that guy a pass. I still like watching him too. But all the others, it's like they're on the same download, on the same frequency. And maybe it is as simple as Matt. They're paid to do this. It's not like it's the same as you're discussing over here in the truth community. They're paid to be this counter narrative. Maybe I hear you. That is a possibility. Might not be always as mystical as the frequency or the download. For those that don't know what I'm talking about, let me just do a minute or less. And this just drives me crazy. Okay, we know, at least in our community, that these franchises, Star Wars, Star Trek, whatever it may be, basically it's being made bad on purpose. Okay, they don't care about profits. We're not going to get into that. We've talked about that many times. Made bad on purpose. Me, the old guard, others, smart people here, we agree. Now, there's different ways that can be done. Do you bring in bad people, knowing they'll fail, having them do the best job that they think they can, but they just are horrible? Bring in these woke SJW assholes. You know the product they're going to put out. If Leonardo da Vinci said, Matt, you paint the Mona Lisa, you know what you're going to get. You put it in my hands. So you're going to get a stick figure of some kind. So it doesn't matter. We'll talk about that some other time. In one way or another, it's all made bad on purpose. The Mandalorian series on Disney, the Book of Boba Fett, just everything is horrible, horrible, horrible across the board. Okay. But these, I was watching a lot of this stuff during, as they were cutting up the Rings of Power, which is, as they say, one of the worst things ever put together on the screen. It is that absolutely horrible Fiddle and Ben's Low, the Amazon newest take on Lord of the Rings, Rings of Power. It is absolutely horrible. They're saying the same, all these movie reviewers are saying the same things. They're still talking about Rings of Power. They're still complaining that these studios are blaming the fans for not liking it. And if you don't like this Disney show, then you're a bigot in some way because one of the lead actors on the Obi-Wan she's a black actress. So you're bigoted and they're blaming the fans and they're covering this up and they're running the same scripts presented. Guys, maybe somebody's screaming at me saying, Matt, that's how they get to 100, 2, 3, 400,000 subscribers. They know where their bread is buttered, and they're simply giving their audience an avenue to complain, what the audience wants. All right, just stop to think about it for a minute. I mean, backing up to the basics, in some way, yeah, they know their role. Their role is to provide an outlet so the anger can be let out. So the fans that have lost their beloved Star Wars and Star Trek, they can vent their anger. Of course, that is their role, and to a degree, they recognize their role. Now, how many? I still don't think these movie reviewers are sophisticated enough or capable of understanding or going all the way where we would go, saying it's actually made bad on purpose. The last three major Star Wars films, not the offshoot ones like Rogue One, but the Force Awakens started with that three, was meant to actually destroy the initial franchise. We'll talk about that some other time. It's one of my favorite things to talk about. I don't think these movie reviewers, right up through the critical drinker and his minions, I don't think they're capable of going there. I really don't. Now, some I know some are yelling at me and some are throwing rubber duckies. Matt, some know. No, I don't think so. I really don't. I think, we're not going to say your cousins and the guy down the cul-de-sac and all these people are on the download and then they go vote Democrat, Republican, and my Tony and your Tony's on the download. They're on the download as well. The big picture, if you want to see at all what Notnilc is up to, then some of these movie reviewers, if they were coming from, say, our community, would be able to see it's made bad on purpose. They would have no idea what we're talking about regarding not milk or even what happened probably on the 7-Eleven job application day in 2001 or any of the quote conspiracy we talk about. Therefore, I don't think these movie reviewers are ever able to go there. So I don't expect them to go there. I really don't. But what surprises me how they're just recycling the same themes, the same complaints about She-Hulk and the twerking and how bad this is and that bad and how they're blaming the fans and Disney's management and their woke executives and their SJW staff is fighting with the fans. It's the same. Okay, if that's their job and they realize their role and they've got 400,000 subscribers and that's their living, okay, I understand that. But you would think, well, then why are the fans, I mean, not the fans, why are the subscribers putting up with that same response over and over again? Why aren't some of the subscribers going, this can't, it's so simple to see. I mean, you can't put out this level of shit that I've said many times. The elementary school fourth grade class could easily storyboard these series better than Disney does, and Disney has access apparently to the greatest 1,000 creative minds in the world from storytelling, and they even call a segment of their population Imagineers. I mean, so a fourth grade class could do it. You and me, but me and Greg, you, me, and Greg, book us into the room. We could do it, but they can't. So, okay, why can't the subscribers to those I can't talk today. Those movie reviewer channels, why can't they start saying comment the way we would want to comment? Can you find person that runs this channel, Disparu or whatever his name? Why can't you ever say I'm starting to think this is being made bad on purpose? Because they don't have any understanding of how reality works. They don't. Everything has to be about the reasons that they were told about in school. It has to be about profits. It has to be about share price. And now there are all these same movie reviewers are all over Disney because apparently the stock's down 20% and Bob Iger is there to emergency save it. And what is actually going on with Notnilc Disney? And I don't know. I mean, it is bizarro. And we've toyed with some ideas as to why they're ruining all of this. And I think the AI and what people can do even now with AI video, that is coming into play. I mean, all of this is potentially being ruined because of the VR environments, the headset environments. The movies will no longer deliver is potentially what's going on here. You'll need to do it through VR headsets. The Notnilc is always 10 steps away and 30 years away. It doesn't care one bit about quarterly profits the way these movie reviewers would say that this studio needs to make quarterly profits for stock dividends, or they don't give a shit. Their executives are going to make their hundreds of millions of dollars no matter what happens. If Disney loses a certain amount, they simply go back to the creepy table and they're given whatever they lost. It doesn't matter. So, okay, I don't expect these movie reviewers to wake up one day and sing Kumbaya and say, we're gonna come over and join Quantum of Conscious and we're gonna talk truth. And I don't expect them to come over here and go where we go. But the same old stuff, okay, that's where their bread is buttered. That's where they get their YouTube ad revenue or whatever. But the fans or their subscribers, Matt, those people are on even more of the frequency. What do you expect more from the subscriber base of Disparu? I hear you. I just wanted to bitch about this. It never ends. And you never, even people have sent me little clips like, Matt, look at this. They're actually talking like it's made bad on purpose. And then I get the clip from Nerdrotic, and maybe there was something, if I remember, was in the title like made bad on purpose. But then you watch their little round table, and there's not one person mentions it could be made bad on purpose. And okay, I hear you. I don't expect them to come around and see the world the way we do. but it's just frustrating. It really is. And I guess they're a little segment doing what they do. What's the difference between what your cousins do over here or your brothers and sisters over here that like the TikTok and what my Tony tells me about V'ger 1 and 2? It doesn't matter. I just, I just wanted to bitch about these movie reviewers. I like Just a Guy, and I like again, I forget his Dave, I guess his name is. Yeah, Dave. Is this a thing? I still watch some of the others because they come up because I watched so much of it when I was fascinated with their take on how bad the Rings of Power and She-Hulk was. And I was almost waiting to see if any of them would ever go where what's so obvious to us now. Are they ever going to go? Is this somehow made bad on purpose? And not one of them ever has. But again, what do you expect from that group of normie or any group of normie? I hear you. Thanks for watching, and I do plan on making a video tomorrow and free voice on Sunday. Thanks.